Hello, darling one, and welcome to my channel. I am so excited that you're here today because today we are going to talk about the latest Dracula film, Dracula: A Love Tale. So this film came out this past Friday, February 6th. It was released in the US. It had been released in France ages ago. And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for it to come out because I was so excited to see it after seeing the trailer. And I have some feelings about it, like a lot of feelings. And I'm gonna try not to give any spoilers. I considered not doing this video because I didn't want to influence anybody's opinion of it, like before they even go to see it. So if you are easily influenced on how to feel about things, maybe go see the movie first and then come back. But I had to film this because I am dying to talk about it, like really dying to talk about it. Because I've never seen anything like it. Like I've never seen anything that made me feel so many conflicting feelings all in one sitting. The movie is a little over 2 hours long, and I felt so many different things. I felt embarrassed. Like at times I thought, oh boy, this is really terrible, really terrible. And then there were times where I was thinking, what am I even watching right now? And then there were times where I was like, holy crap, Dracula is hot. So, I guess let's start off with the cast. Dracula himself was played by Caleb Landry Jones. The Van Helsing character, which was, I don't think he went by Van Helsing, he was actually like a priest. He was played by Christopher Waltz, and then opposite Dracula was Zoe Blue, who played Elizabeta/Mina. So let's get into it. Okay, so for starters, when the film opens, it's basically like a 5 to 10 minute montage of Dracula and Elizabeta like getting it on or dancing around or just acting deliriously happy. But it all takes place in one room. Like all of the memories take place in this one room, which is the bedroom, obviously. And I don't know if it was like a budget thing or if they chose to have it take place in the bedroom only because they wanted, like maybe the writer director wanted to make it like they were so crazy in love that they just never wanted to leave the bedroom ever. But I feel like it did a disservice because that's the only background that you have. Like that's the only thing you have to go on as to like why they love each other so desperately. The problem with that is that whenever they did like flashbacks throughout the film, it was always in that one room. And it was always one of those like little montage flashbacks. And when I think about like a love story, I think about it like they're in different places. They're in different situations in time of like, you know, show me why they love each other and not just that they lust after each other. And maybe that was another choice for the film also because, well, you know, vampires are very sexual creatures in a way. So moving along, the other problem that I had with the film was the guy who plays Jonathan Harker. And maybe he was directed to act like an imbecile, but he was an absolute moron. From the get-go, you don't like this guy. I mean, when he shows up at the castle, I feel like that's not a spoiler because everybody knows Jonathan Harker shows up at Dracula's castle in the beginning. And the situation happens where he first arrives, where like all this creepy stuff is like going down in the castle. And even when Dracula himself appears, he's completely oblivious. Like it's like this was a situation where like if I were Jonathan Harker, I would be pissing myself. But he just acted like he didn't even notice what was going on. And I kept thinking to myself, nope, nope, nope. And he was just like, la, 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 la. So instantly I disliked him. And maybe they made him as unlikable as possible so that you absolutely fall in love with Dracula and you're like, yeah, I mean, choose that guy over this guy. So they did that well, I guess. The other thing is, and I hope this isn't a spoiler for you, but there were no brides. And I love the brides. They're always nice and creepy and like beautiful. But I think also whenever I've watched a Dracula film, like I've always thought to myself, well, if he's so obsessed with Elisabetta, then why does he have brides? Like, that doesn't make sense. So maybe that was a choice for the film. Again, it could have been a budget thing, but it also could have been that they wanted to show Dracula in a way that he never like wanted anyone else, that he only ever wanted Elisabetta, that there were no other brides, which quite honestly makes sense, you know, if he's so obsessed with her. So moving along, something that was cool about the film is that we get to see Dracula. It takes place over a period of like 400 years. And what's cool about that, first of all, we get to see the fashion over the 400 years, which was really great. Maybe they spent a lot of their budget on the fashion because the fashion was fantastic in this film. And also the filming itself, a lot of people have said this, that it's very similar to the way that Bram Stoker's Dracula, the 1992, I think it's 1992 version, the look of it. And that's true, I would say, for a lot of it. It does have that sort of like gothic feel, in that same visual sense. The cool thing though about getting to see him throughout the centuries that you don't really see in other iterations of Dracula is you get to see him in his search for Mina. And you never see that in any other films. You always see like, here's Dracula today, here's what he's doing, he's looking for Mina, he found her, he's gonna get her. But in this film, you see the 400 years where he's searching for her, desperately trying to find her. It's very cheesy, though, I will say. This was a part of the film where I was like, what am I watching right now? Like, what am I even watching? It was embarrassing at times. Like, I don't want to get into details in case you're going to go see it, but when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, it gets weird, and you're just like, okay, this dialogue is like icky, and it just doesn't make sense. But I'm here to go along for the ride. The other thing is, and I hope this isn't a spoiler, there is no Renfield, but there is this female vampire who is insane or behaves like that. And honestly, I felt like her character was really over the top, and I did not care for her or her performance. And maybe she was directed that way to be that way, because here's the thing is I feel like this movie had some really great actors and actresses in it, but maybe they just weren't working with very good dialogue or circumstances. So she was really over the top and actually she got really annoying at times. And sometimes I kind of wondered why Dracula didn't just like snap her neck or something because she was so annoying. In other Dracula iterations, Renfield helps Dracula and Mina kind of like find their way to each other. But in this film, the female vampire helps Dracula discover Mina. She basically lures Mina to him, and that's how they meet. And I have to say that meeting, the way he looks at her is really, whew, smoking hot, guys, smoking hot. It takes place in Paris, actually, and they go through like this sort of Parisian carnival, and I mean, that was kind of cool. It was neat seeing all those like sort of like carnival scenes and just like the hustle and bustle of it all. But also there was this one scene within that was where they go to like one of those old haunted houses at a carnival, and that was really cool to see. I would have loved to have spent more time in there, because when they got in there, I was like, yes, this is what I'm here for. I mean, that and the romance, but that part was pretty cool. But it did go very fast. Anyways, ultimately, we know the story. Dracula lands Mina, and they run off together for a time. So by the time they get back to his castle, Dracula and Mina, honestly, I'm rooting for them. I want them to be together. And I feel like Christopher Waltz is an amazing actor. I love him in just like everything I've ever seen him in. He does such a great job. But in this film, I kept thinking, get out of the way, get out of the way. I just want to see these two together. I just want to see Dracula and Mina together. Get out of the scene. So I feel like in a way that was a little bit of a disservice to Christopher Waltz because he's so awesome, and I didn't even want to see him because I just wanted to see these two. But also, when I wanted to see the film, like before going, I thought it was going to be like this long, sweeping, epic romance. And I was all there for it. I was so excited for that because I'm a terribly romantic person. But it wasn't necessarily that. I mean, it was, but it also had a lot of like, just a bunch of like weird stuff that happened throughout the film. Like really, really weird, which was also kind of fun because it made it unpredictable. I mean, if you've seen one Dracula movie, you've pretty much seen them all, but this one was just so bizarre that I couldn't look away. It's like anyways, by the time they get to the castle, I'm rooting for them. I want them to make it. The other thing that I will say for me that really saved this movie was that Caleb Landry Jones was so incredible as Dracula. Like, he really put his whole heart into that role, and he did it so, so well. I mean, he gave off creepy vibes, like creepy guy vibes, but he also gave off like this like intensity, this super intense, like romantic performance that just won me over to the point where I would say Caleb Landry Jones might be my favorite version of Dracula I have ever seen in film, ever. And that's really saying something because you're running up against Bela Lugosi, you're running up against Gary Oldman. I mean, he was just so good. He was so good at portraying, all of that like sort of darkness in a character. in Dracula, but also the way that he looked at Elizabeta slash Mina, the way he looked at her, it's like he looked at her like she was a meal. And I loved that because he's a vampire. You know, even before he became a vampire, that's the way he looked at her. And I thought that was incredibly romantic and hot as hell, quite honestly. So, here we go. I'm going to wrap it up now. So, if you were to ask me, Corpsey Lou, is Dracula a love tale, a yay or a nay? I would say for Corpsey Lou, overall, I would say it's a yay. Absolutely 100% yes. Like I said, I have so many conflicting feelings about the film. It's almost like embarrassing that I love it. I love that film. And I'm embarrassed to say that I love that film because it's terrible, and I recognize that. But Caleb Landry Jones, guys, I'm telling ya, whew. Anyways, I, for one, am going to be looking out for the DVD release date and will be buying the DVD the day it comes out. That's it for now. And I hope you enjoyed my review. Go see it if you want to, or don't. I'm not going to tell you either way. It's not going to be for everybody. It is a terribly cheesy film. It is. But I say that with so much love in my heart. All right, so all of this being said, I guess I'll catch you next time. So until then, have a perfectly magical day, everyone. Bye for now.